Hello, this is Cinders papercraft.co.uk, and as promised, some of my lovely friends have asked me to please do a tutorial on how to do the leather effect, which I showed in my last tutorial, which was for a double DVD gift box. Now this one will hold a single DVD. I don't have a DVD to hand, but what I do have is the DVD size, and that will just fit in there perfectly. Right, actually I need that one out. Now there are going to be some changes to this because I have noticed there are some flaws on here, because it's going on top of embossing clear. The magnets find it very difficult to stick, so I'm going to plan ahead and put them in. If you are using, oh, there's a Spitfire going over. If you are using Velcro dots, that will be fine. So that is one of the design things. And under here I am also going to leave put the magnet in between these two bits, and I think that is all I'm going to change. Right, so I'm using Crumb Cake. You can use craft cardstock, which is absolutely perfect. It doesn't need to be any specific colour because you're going to be laying ink over the top. Anything neutral and light will be perfect. And I do need to just run through. I'm going to be using some of these, and I believe I'm going to be using that one, and there are some here that I may or may not use, but the reason I brought all these out is any of these that you might have. So you've got the touches are textured. Oh, that one's good. Any of these that you have will be fine, because all of these you can leave patterns on. They need to be very fine. You won't see an amazing amount of it. See, that's a piece of a fern, and there's dots, and there's a lot going on. And you're probably thinking, well, that's okay, you've got all of those stamp sets. I don't. I can't afford them all. What I would say is there's a way of doing this without having any stamp sets, and I'm going to show you that because I want absolutely everyone to be able to do this if they want it. What I would say to anyone who is starting off crafting, it's always good to get a good like texturing, layering stamp set. That would be one that I would invest in. It doesn't have to be anything expensive or fancy, as long as it's got patterns that you can lay on top of each other to make a pattern. That is always a really good investment. Now I am going to be using Stampin' Up inks, but you can use any inks. I'll just show you the colours I'm going to be using. Crumb Cake, Cajun, Craze, Early Espresso and Sahara Sand. Now most of these need to be re-inked, which actually works in my favour because I can get that delicate shade without having to continually stamp off. Now if you don't have these, but you have Versacolour or well, any ink really, any dye based or pigment ink will work. It doesn't have to be anything special. I would go with dye based because they dry quicker, rather than a pigment ink that it takes some time to set in between, where you'd have to leave it and then go back to it a bit later or heat dry it. Any neutral colours will do. If you want a dark tan, then you would go for the darker ones. I always like to put a bit of like a dark burnt orange, which is why I use the Cajun Craze. because I think that that adds a nice texture to leather. You'll often see that there's a red or orange tinge to leather. I made a leather bound book, but it was actually a box completely with the Cajun Craze, and it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. And I done that with the Cajun Craze alone. I like to mix it up because I like there to be different shades. Right, so to cover, excuse me, it's good to have some texture stamp sets, but if you haven't, it's not the end of the world. It's good to have these stamps, stamp pads, but if you haven't got them, it's not the end of the world. It is worth investing in some stamp pads as you go along. I find these are particularly good, and I have tried many over the years. I've tried many. These are, I think, the best value, and especially as the re-inkers, well, the re-inkers go so far. But like I say, any ink will do it, and I'm going to show you how to do it without well, I can show you how to do it, and I can show you the look it will give. Right, so here is one that I done without any patterns. So that is just crumb cake. Oh, that could have come out really wrong then. And I went in with some Cajun Craze just to give it a little tinge. See, just pretty. Some will like that a lot more. This is the effect. It is, now that's a soft suede. That's a really deep one. Not soft suede, it's early espresso. I probably wouldn't go for anything that dark, but just remember, when you first lay down ink, it looks really dark and you'll probably think, oh wow, I don't want that much. You will. So I am going to show you this. And another thing, we are going to be using clear embossing powder. Now I have done nearly 3 A4 sheets. Well, if you say 2, then we're being safe. And that is how much of one of those that I have used of embossing powder. I keep my clear embossing powder in one of these. They're big tubs. I hate getting embossing powder anywhere on my desk. I hate it. I loathe the feel of it. I absolutely adore embossing, but I hate the feel. But what I did was I put it into, I mean, this one's a copper tub, because I literally, I decant all of my, I can show you this, all of them into big jars so I can get rid of all the little ones. I mean, that's just black detail that I've got, but that's basically what I do. And all my clear ones, I just add them straight to this. I like them in big tubs so I don't get the powder everywhere. Right, so let me show you how we are going to, I'm going to find my piece of, doesn't need to be a big piece because it's going to be the same regardless of the size. And I also did find that I preferred to build the satchel and then put the paper over the top. It's easier to burnish and to get everything to stick to. It's a lot better. Right, so what I'm going to do is you are also going to need some embossing tools. Now, if you haven't got any, it doesn't matter one jot. You will be able to do this with anything. These are they're used for doing nail art, and I think there was 4 of them from the pound shop. When I first started crafting, they were a lot more expensive, a lot more, but they're not now. But if you haven't got that and you've got a pen, use that. If you haven't and you've got a pencil, use that. You can use anything. This will not exclude anyone. What you will need is ink, that is a definite. You will need card, and you will need clear embossing powder, and then you're good. That is all you need to make leather effect paper. So I don't think anyone's going to be left out or think I can't do that because I haven't got the supplies. So this is the crumb cake. It is wearing out. It desperately needs re-inking, but this just goes to show you how you do it. So you are going to take this end here, not this one, because that's got that tray there. So you're going to get that bit, and you are just going to, now I'm putting a bit of muscle into this because it actually is too dry. I will get my Sahara Sand because I've finally worn that out, and again with that bit, and we are just going to lightly press. You can do it, if you press harder it will come out darker. Okay, so it doesn't damage your pad at all, not one bit. Okay, see that doesn't look anything inspiring, but trust me. So Cajun Craze, go light, very light. Okay, so you're just going to put the odd, very lightly, I don't know if you can hear, that is just glancing over. Okay, if you've done that and you don't like it, flip it over and start again. But that is it. That will dry beautifully. You're probably horrified by that, but don't be. It will be beautiful. Right, so another thing I would say is get yourself some Versamark. I've got other embossing pads. Nothing beats this. It really truly is the best. I've never found anything that I like more, let's say that. I always have a clean one, and I have one that's really dirty and yucky. I have a clean one for when I'm embossing under clear, which I'm going to be doing here, but this is a different technique altogether. So I keep one for the really good work, which is absolutely pristine, and then I keep this for everything else. If I'm embossing with gold, I use this because ironically, if you stamp this down and there is coloration there, you can actually see where you've embossed, whereas normally it's too clear. So here we go. You are just going to push it down onto the card. You don't need to do it a lot. It doesn't rack the pad. It doesn't use a lot of the Versamark. The refills are really cheap and they last forever. Trust me, I've done that. So that is now absolutely perfect. Now, because I hate embossing powder so much, it's the feel of it. I don't like it, but I love embossing. It's the first thing I ever done that I fell in love with Papercraft. So you're going to sprinkle it, and obviously you do not need to use an embossing buddy. That will be counterintuitive to do so. Right, so you will see that that has a nice covering. Now you probably think that I've used a huge amount of that embossing powder. I really haven't. Anyone that embosses knows that I did not use a lot of the clear. Right, so you decide which one you want, and I think I will go with that one. No random reason. Right, now leather has creases in. Well, I suppose they're paw marks or creases. So all as you are going to do, now you probably think I've lost my mind, and you might not be entirely wrong, but you are just going to put folds and creases in. You can either put in a lot of them if you like the close leather look, and you can put in different widths. So if you think I want a thicker one there, put a thicker one in. There is no right and wrong. Right, now after you've done that, just give that a tap. And again, I wouldn't reuse that that embossing powder that comes off of there, because it's got the Versamark on there. Right, now there's no way around this, I'm afraid, so I am going to have to put on my heat gun. So I'm going to keep that as far away from the camera as I can while I am talking, so it doesn't bother you. You cannot use a hairdryer for this. You do need a heat gun. A hairdryer will simply, it just does not get hot enough. I would definitely invest in a heat gun, and if I was new to crafting, I would invest in a scoring tool and a paper trimmer, and I think they are the must-haves. Right, so here we are. So we are going to heat this. You do not need to wave it around. You heat it slowly and move it down. You don't need to be right up here. You need to be fairly close. If you waft it around and go over at one place too much, it will create an apple peel effect, or an orange peel even, and it will have a dimpled look to it. That's because it hasn't heated properly, or it's been overheated. If you overheat it too much, it goes flat, but you really have to go some to overheat it. So you are just, once this is hot, it goes through this like you emboss so quickly with it. Now I would do 2 whole full sheets of this. Now is when you want to just go over like that. Right, so that is how you do it without stamps. Some people will prefer that, some won't. So yeah, it looks really good in real life. It probably isn't showing well, but that actually does look really sweet. Right, so if you're a mucky pup like I am, you are going to love the next bit. If you are a neat and tidy crafter, you probably want to look away in horror. Right, so there is some crumb cake left, so I am still going to use it. No, I'll go straight with the Sahara Sand. And I'm going to use the Cajun Craze, and I will use some early Espresso, but very, very sparingly. Right, so where are my stamps? So, excuse me if you can see my face. I have gone with that one, which is, it doesn't matter where they're from. It's whatever stamps you have. I've gone with that one, and these ones. They're the ones that I'm going to use. So actually, if you touches of textures is a good one, and the other ones that I'm using is awesomely artistic. Right, so we are going to start with the lightest colour first. So we are going to go with Sahara Sand, and I'm just going to see if I need to stamp off with that. Let's see. Oh no, that's okay. So just bounce it around. That's what I say. There is no organisation to this. This is just like finger painting when you're a child. It's just fun. And for someone like me that can't do random, I find this fun. I try to put an order. I try to do random, and before I realise it, I've organised it into a proper pattern. So I'm going to try not to do that now. Because I think I was making sure that that was covering nice. So you do want some spots that are going to be darker. And you're literally this is when you've had a tough day at work and you want to go home and do something completely mindless and nice. If you haven't got anything else you like to do, because I find crafting relaxes me and keeps me as healthy as I can be. Right, so now we're going to put on some of what I call my age spots. This is what I used on the leather book I done, and by the time I finished it looked like a proper antique book. I was so proud of that. I loved how it came out. Right, so you're probably thinking that looks a horrible mess. It looks like I've left it outside in the garden. But there is a method to my madness. Right, so we are now just going to add, I'm going to stamp off with the Cajun Craze because I want to add a hint rather than great big globs. Because I kind of want to build up layers. Because no one has flawlessly coloured skin. I don't. I have well, my skin at the best of times is strange colours. Right, so with the age spots I am just going to ink, stamp off, and then just restamp until all the colour's gone off. Just like that. Right. There's nothing technical to this. And we are going to go with the early espresso now. And again, I will warn you, stamp off. Because if you don't, it can be quite shocking. And after you've spent time layering up the all these colours, it would be rather annoying to have to, well, it isn't annoying to have to start. What I would say, if you are using 2 sheets of cardstock, I would do them both together. Oh, I'm going to stamp that off a good couple of times. Right, done. I'm going to close those and get rid of them because it's a miracle I haven't worn any so far. And let's get rid of these. I do usually put some of the fern leaves in. Actually, I really do like that, so I'm going to put some in. We're nearly there. It's just nice. I like it. You probably think I've ruined it. So now we are going to, you might want to leave that to dry, but like I say, I have my mucky pad. And you're just going to press it down. I promise it will not ruin, unless you're putting a clean one down, and then it might mark it. So just pat it all the way around. It doesn't matter if you've missed a certain bit, because like I say, leather isn't perfect. Now, put this in here and just sprinkle. Doesn't matter which clear you use. You can use, I have some extra thick. Probably wouldn't use that because you're going to be folding this and that might have a tendency to crack, but you can use regular, super fine. Stampin' Up does a very nice clear. You can use pearlized ones. Any of them really. I'm not going to tell you that one's better than others. I will say though that if you go with the Stampin' Up copper, it does tend to be brighter than the other coppers that I have used. Right. So now we are just literally going to do what we've done there and put in lots of squiggles and wiggles, some thinner, some more straight. Now you can try and organize this into nice neat patterns, but it really won't look right. The wilder and more you put in, the more like it looks in real life. This may not look like much on camera. When you do it, you will find it looks completely different. So lots of wavy lines like that. Give it a tap off, and now I shall go in with, see, look, you can see that there's more on there. You can save that and collect it if you like. Right, so I am going to now heat this. As long as I've been quiet for in years. Right, so you can now see, do you know, this just does not show up on camera as nice and natural as that is in real life. When you do it, you'll see exactly what I mean. It looks really lovely, and no two will ever come out the same, because I used the same with this one, and these ones I used slightly different, but they're basically the same thing, and they match in real life, whereas that probably doesn't look like it matches, but it really does. Trust me, if you want to go with the more natural, that is the effect you get. Right, so if you want instructions on how to put the satchel together, I would get you to go and watch the other one. I will give you the measurements very briefly. These are the sizes that you are going to need, but as I say, to get all the measurements, go to the other one. Right, and there is a proper tutorial on that, because obviously I now want to get on and do this, and you would like to see it put together. Right, so this is exactly the same as last time. So we are going to, first of all, take the tape off that one, and that reinforces the top. Sorry, let's get something a bit cleaner there rather than my dirty scrap pad. Right, so we are going to take the tape off of these tabs exactly as we did in the other one, and we're going to fold that over, make sure that's a nice tight line. This is what happened last time. Oh well, I got around it. I would say to fit this bit first. I said this last time. We are going to fit this line here, which is this one there that we've put tape up to. we are going to fit this line here. So now I've made that difficult by putting the corner up, and now my hands are going to start. Right. So now we can carry on and put these corner bits together. Nice and flush. There. If these bits come out too far, I can always trim them, but they haven't. It looked like I'd actually left a bit of a gap, but I hadn't, which is always good news. Right, we're going to take these bits off, and we are going to line that up with the edge. Now obviously, if you want a slower explanation on how to do this, this is covered in my other one for a double DVD set, gift set holder. Right, so we are now going to just bend that. I did burnish those on off screen, just in case you're thinking that I didn't. Right, so we are going to now add the magnets at this stage, because it needs to stick to plain card. Right, 1 second. I'm just shutting my dogs out because I think they're about to start barking. And 3 Jack Russells can make a hullabaloo. Right, so take a glue dot and pop it down, the magnet down, and let that find its mate. We are going to take a glue dot and pop that on top there. We are going to get a clear acrylic block or anything that is straight and firm to press against, and press it down. And there you are. How simple is that? Right, so I know you're probably thinking, gosh, she's rushing through that. I wanted to show you more how to do the paper, because I have covered how to do the makeup and how to do this one slower on a previous tutorial. Right, so if you wanted to ink the corners to give it a nicer look, I actually did like that it had a nice border around, but that's just me. You must do it how you like, because everyone is different. Right, so just pop the glue of your choice, whether it's double-sided tape, Tombow is fantastic, any of your glue of choice, because everyone has a glue that they're very faithful to. I personally like this Cosmic Shimmer because it dries matte, so when I have my oops, it dries clear and matte and you can't see it, and I have a lot more oops than most. Right, so they are going to be the handles, I believe. Let me have a look, and they are just going to go make sure you glue the edges really well on this, because it's got the embossing powder on. It's made it very thick. See, that's why I'm glad I use a matte glue. Tombow is absolutely fantastic. I used it for ages and ages and ages. But I will say that my lack of control over my hands makes it more difficult for me to get an even flow out of Tombow. It seemed to be all or nothing for me. But I used that. I used to use it all the time. So you're probably noticing that these are poking out. What I will do is afterwards just go round with my fine applicator glue and just get those sealed down properly. I'm not going to worry with that now because time is pressing on, and now I need to cut that, which I didn't know what measurement that was. So that is going to be 3 by 7 5/8. So 3 inch. Now you can use the you can do all this to the cardstock and then just use it. I really wouldn't advise that, simply because I might have said this at the beginning, I might be repeating myself, so if I am, just tune out. It's a lot harder to score. Right, so we are going to use some more of this. I hate to think that someone might think that I'm just rushing because I'm trying to get on with my life. I'm not. I know some people like shorter tutorials, so I do try to do a bit of everything. Once you know how to do that, you can obviously, if you've got a busy afternoon or evening, or you just don't like long videos, you can just take that knowledge and then make your own. So it's not anything that you need to specifically hang around for. So there we are. And I'm going to do the handles. Now I did actually debate on this, whether to do double layer, and I think I will. So it's a bit risky because it is very firm, but that might actually add to the structure. Again, this is something I usually avoid at all cost. So much glue on a small project, but in this instance it's a good thing. Right, so I'm going to leave that to set, and we are going to make these. I think I'm going to make those straps a bit wider. I think I'm going to go with an inch, or is that it? It's not going to be in keeping with it, is it? Let's just, let's go for the inch. Let's go crazy. I've got 3/4 of an inch, which I done with the other one. Let's see which one looks better. Right. Oh, I don't know. No, I'm going to go with these ones. Right, so get them where you want. So I think I am going to go with that. Okay. Now what I will do is see, here's the problem. I can cut it off there, but then it looks like it's not right. So if I put that at the back, I will go later and just add another piece to it, if you see what I mean. Because what I don't want is for it to be sticking out. So, and that is the best. See, this is what it will do. This is what I'm going to go and infill in with glue once it's dried. So you will then take the next one and you will bend it to the same point, and that is honestly the best way to there. That is the best way to get anything perfectly lined up, is just to do it on the box. Because I could say go up to a certain point and score, but so you will then take your double-sided tape, and I would say tape here, you can use a really strong glue, but as it's going on top of clear embossing powder, oh, that's ever so untidy. It's not going to show. I have to remind myself of these things. Right, so let's take that off. And you are only doing it to that. You need that to be free. Okay? Ask me why I'm telling you that. Woohoo! Let's try that again, and I've done that wrong. The thinner straps it is. Never a dull moment. I don't like that. Do I like that? No, I don't like the thin one. I will put it properly. I shall do that in a moment off camera, but I will just attach. Actually, I might not add the straps on this one. I might do it as like a briefcase. Yeah, that's what I intended all along. Right, so score at 1 inch, and you are going to have to press down hard and score it at 1 inch. Right, I think this will look nice as a briefcase. Kind of has to now, doesn't it? Mind you, I wonder how many of, and I'm not going to use a bong folder to curve that because I don't want to take out the strength. I wonder how many of you have tried so carefully to do something perfect and have this happen. And I wonder how many of you were grateful at the end that it happened, because it turned out to be a really good design. Or is it just me that makes the clangers? Could just be me, couldn't it? I hope not. So I'm just going to neaten that up. And there is the handle. Let's take that one off first. There. And put this one back on that peeled off. See, it would need to be double-sided, preferably red line, which I always use, but that's just out of my reach. And being the lazy one that I am, right, so stand that up and get that to a point where you think that looks right. And I think just under 1 inch. in old money. Actually, what's about half an inch to a 5/8. Showing my age. Right. And once I have gone on and just, actually, I have to say, as that's dried, that's pulled that paper in. So there we are. And I will say, because I know I will get asked, I get my magnets off of Amazon. If you type in N for Norman 35 and then 50 magnets, it will bring up some of the sellers. You can go with Toogoo, which is TOOGOO, or Sodial, which is SODIAL. The Sodial one at today is you get 50 for £1.60. I see that Toogoo has been increasing his prices as more and more people have been buying off him. So there it is. I hope you like it. I really do. This looks really nice and natural in real life, and I don't think it's showing up as nicely. I think it looks a lot darker on screen than it actually is, but it really is nice. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you enjoy making that, and you can make that with any of your supplies. You do not need to have a lot of all the gadgets and the toys to do this one, and I think it's gorgeous. And I will just probably put some manly, like some manly thing there, just to dress it up. But there you go. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you'll give it a go if you wanted to. That is what the satchel looks like, and that is the briefcase. I don't know which one you like better. I actually prefer this one, but everyone's different. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll give it a go, and if you have any questions, drop it in the comments below. If you get stuck on anything or you want something clarified, I am always happy to film a quick tutorial to show you a certain bit that you didn't quite understand. That doesn't take me very long, and I'm more than happy to do it. So anyway, right, that's it for now, and thank you for spending part of your day with me, and I hope I will see you soon. Actually, it won't be too long before I'm on the next project, so I hope you will subscribe, push like if you liked it, and thank you for spending part of your day with me. And thank you to all my lovely subscribers. You mean the world to me. Thank you. Bye bye.